Welcome back. All right, so continuing my series on teams going into the trade deadline, we're going to take a look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh's an interesting case. They have a little less than $3 million in cap space at the deadline, again, according to Cap Friendly. And the Penguins are kind of sandwiched between these other contending teams, and I don't think any of them are going to be happy with a first-round loss. Carolina, 53 games, 37-11-5 record, 79 points. Pittsburgh, 55 games, 33-14-8 record for 74 points. The New York Rangers, 53 games, 33-15-5 record, 71 points. So the battle seems to be between Pittsburgh and the Rangers for second or third, because Washington is fading. 55 games, 28-18-9 record, 65 points. Columbus has made things a little bit interesting. They're within 8 points of Washington now. 54 games, 28-25-1 record for 57 points. But while they are within 8 points of Washington, they're 14 back of the Rangers, and they're 17 back of Pittsburgh. So the highest that Columbus could climb would be over Washington. Now for Pittsburgh, again, 5 points behind Carolina, 3 points ahead of the Rangers. They've played more games than both. We're likely looking at a Pittsburgh team that finishes either second or third in the division. And if they're against the Rangers, it'll be interesting because I don't think either the Rangers or the Penguins would be happy with a first-round loss. Although for the Rangers, they're definitely on their way up. But for Pittsburgh, this might be their last chance. We say that every year, right? Now, I did not pick Pittsburgh to miss the playoffs this year. I have picked Pittsburgh to miss the playoffs over the last 3 years. I think I've done it once. Learned my lesson there. They always bounce back. They're always in contention. They're always very good. So 2018, they lose in the second round against Washington. That's after their Stanley Cup in 2017, which followed their Stanley Cup in 2016. 2019, they lose in the first round against the New York Islanders. 2020, they lost the qualifying round against Montreal. 2021, they lost the first round again against the New York Islanders. So the good news is they're not going to play the New York Islanders or the Montreal Canadiens this year in the playoffs. Odds are it'll likely be the Rangers. But there's a lot of games left. Things can change. We shall see. All that other wonderful stuff. But it's an interesting lineup in that they're all down the middle of the ice. This is a league where we always hear about speed, transition, speed. The thing is, they may be older. They're not necessarily slower. So their top line has Gensel, Crosby, and Rust. This line's been absolutely fantastic. One of the best lines in the NHL over the season while they've been together. Crosby, of course, missing some time, but he's got 16 goals, 34 assists for 50 points. Gensel, 25 goals, 28 assists for 53 points. And Rust, 18 goals, 24 assists, 42 points. Now, Brian Rust is a UFA this summer. I cannot see him not staying in Pittsburgh. I cannot see him not actually giving them a discount above what he'd get on the market. I think he's going to sign for a very reasonable contract because both Crosby and Malkin have done the same when their contracts have been up. And that seems to be a storyline, and maybe it's a black and gold thing because Boston has that going for them as well. Crosby's 34, though. And at some point in time, age becomes a factor. When you look at their second line, restricted free agency might be a factor. Danton Heinen, restricted free agent this summer, 11 goals, 10 assists, 21 points. How much is that worth? Probably a 2-year contract. I would think he gets a raise. Kasperi Kapanen on the other wing, 9 goals, 16 assists, 25 points. Restricted free agent this summer. I don't think this year's gone the way Kapanen would have wanted it to overall. And Malkin down the middle has only played 19 games, 9 goals, 12 assists, 21 points. He's 35 years old. He's a UFA this summer, and that might be the biggest challenge for the brain trust in Pittsburgh. What do you do with Malkin? Do you extend him for 2 years? Do you give him 3? What if he wants 5? What if Malkin says he wants 5-year extension? Because Malkin is 35, and as much as I think Malkin's a fantastic player, one of the best players of this generation, the reality is he's guaranteed to get hurt at least once a year, which means that you have to watch how much money you're throwing at him because you know he's probably going to get hurt, which is why re-signing Jeff Carter is interesting. Jeff Carter being 37 years of age, he has 13 goals and 16 assists so far this season. He's had a very good year for Pittsburgh. You got Brock McGinn, 10 goals, 6 assists. He's filled in nicely for what Tanev was doing for them last year. I don't think he's exactly what Tanev was, but that's fine. He's putting the puck in the net here and there and giving them depth scoring. And Evan Rodriguez, who's a UFA this summer, 16 goals, 18 assists, 34 points. So do you give Rodriguez money as a UFA based on his totals, or do you maybe risk giving him a contract offer that would be considered low because when Malkin's in the lineup, Rodriguez seems to have that scoring dry up? So there are some questions to be answered here for Pittsburgh when it comes to their free agents this offseason. But they're obviously not in a position where they're going to be renting anybody at the deadline unless they don't see Rodriguez as being part of the future and somebody offers them a bunch, but I can't see that. Aston Reese, UFA this year, 1 goal, 9 assists, 10 points. He's had no puck luck, basically. Just the 1 goal doesn't tell you how hardworking he's been, but again, he'll be a reasonable contract to renew. Brian Boyle, 37 years of age. He's a UFA this summer, 6 goals, 3 assists. He's been very good when he's had to fill in. With Teddy Bluger out, that's put Boyle in the lineup more than I think they expected. And Simone, UFA this summer as well, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. He's been serviceable as a fourth liner. His return to Pittsburgh's been just fine. And then you get to the blue line where you've got Dumoulin, 3 goals and 11 assists, 14 points. He is one of the more underrated defensive defensemen in the league. You've got Letang, who's 34. He's a UFA this summer as well. 6 goals, 42 assists, 48 points. So again, this is a team that's going to have to, make some financial decisions. How long do you give Letang an extension for? Does he get 5 years? Do you take him till he's about 40? Do you take him till he's 40 and go with a 6-year contract? Be interesting to see what they do. Pettersson, a goal and 11 assists for them on the blue line. Marino, who's been very good, a goal and 17 assists. I really like Marino. Friedman, he's an RFA this summer. He's only played the 14 games. He's got 4 assists in the games that he's played. Ruedel, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points. He's already signed an extension for the next couple of years. And of course, with their lineup in general, we have to get over here to the injured, which is Jason Zucker, 6 goals, 7 assists. Should be back relatively soon. I haven't seen an exact date of when he comes back, but that'll beef up their wing, right? And then you have Teddy Bluger, who should be back. He's at least skating, 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points. That beefs them up down the middle. Matheson on the blue line, he's out. It's undetermined how long he's going to be out. 7 goals, 14 assists for him on the season. That's a blow to their blue line. They may want to go out and pick somebody up at the deadline, depending on how long it's going to take for him to come back. Radim Zohorna's been a good fill-in as well. 8 games, 1 goal, 1 assist for him. And again, if you have enough injuries up front, you can plug in Zohorna. It doesn't hurt. You don't have to waive him to send him to the minors. And of course, Demang just played the 1 game for them, had the win there, looked really good, and he's been hurt. So he's on the injured list, but at this point, the goaltending is an interesting topic of discussion. Tristan Jarry, 26, 11, and 6, 921 save percentage. There are those who believe Jarry has had a great year, and they're right. Jarry's had a very good year. But then you can have the counter of whether or not he's going to be able to win them a series, especially let's just say they're in against the Rangers. The first thing people will look at is Jarry versus Shesterkin. And even though Jarry got the shutout the last time they met each other, this past weekend, most people will take the Rangers to win that series when they see Shesterkin versus Jarry. Now, Crosby, Malkin, all these other great players up front, that's fantastic. But then people would look at the Rangers and say, you got Panarin, you got Zibanejad, Lafreniere's up and coming. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, they really need this win, right? They've got DeSmith as the backup. He's a UFA this summer. He's got a 6-3-2 record for 903 save percentage. And sometimes he looks really good and sometimes he doesn't. So for me with Pittsburgh, they're kind of the great unknown. There are still enough pieces left from the 2017 Stanley Cup winner, the last time they won a Stanley Cup, that they can't really be ruled out as a contender. But I don't know that I can see them going out and winning another Stanley Cup. And I do think that the fact that this is an older team is going to possibly cost them next year. We've seen that with the Islanders. It's not the only reason the Islanders are in the position they're in, but it is part of it. You've got to have that foot speed out there. You've got to have that youthful energy. And one thing with Pittsburgh, they've been at or near the top of the league for so long that when you're at the top of the league for that long, you're always drafting late in the first round. So you're not getting those prime talents, those really big future stars. So there's some good young talent. There's like Pierre-Olivier Joseph, for example, but there isn't really a star player in this organization who could replace a Crosby or a Malkin on the way up. And it does make me wonder, at what point does Pittsburgh end up where they have to do a retool or a rebuild? We're obviously not there now. They're obviously not looking at next year and saying that that's going to happen, because otherwise you don't re-sign Carter. So the plan is to try to keep this all together. I think they will re-sign Malkin. I don't know for how much, and I don't know for how long. Letang, I think they'll do everything they can to keep that trio together of Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. But the question I have is whether or not that is a trio that can win another Stanley Cup. And I don't know that I have an answer. Because, again, when they won the Cup in 2016, it wasn't a surprise, but there was a long time between the last Stanley Cup in 2009 and that one in 2016. So, I mean, we can look at the last 4 years and say, well, clearly they're not in that contention spot. But I remember us saying the same thing before they won that Cup in 2016. First round losses for Fleury. Well, you know, they need to replace Fleury, and Pittsburgh's just not a playoff team. They're not built for the playoffs. And then all of a sudden they win the Stanley Cup in 2016. So, they're an unpredictable team come playoff time. But, again, it is going to be a war in the East. Whoever comes out of the East is going to be pretty battered and bruised. Not that the team coming out of the West is going to be unscathed. Definitely not. But you can see that, like, it is going to be rough to come out of here, because if you win that series between Pittsburgh and the Rangers, Pittsburgh wins that, odds are they get Carolina in the next round. And then if they win that round, then in the next one, they'd either get Tampa Bay, Florida, they might get Toronto. And how crazy would that be, right? A conference final between Toronto and Pittsburgh. All buy the popcorn. Not for everybody. Not for everybody. There's way too much popcorn. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting team to watch at the deadline, because I do think they pick up a forward. I do think they pick up probably another defenseman, especially if Matheson's going to be out for a long period. So, his indefinite injury, and if that's going to keep him out, especially until the start of the playoffs, I think they go out and they look for another defenseman. And probably look for one that might have some term beyond this season as well. But they're going to be an interesting team to watch. They're fun to watch when they're winning, and it's always interesting when they're not as well, because it just feels like they're in that lull before that next big winning streak is going to happen. And of course, I'm wearing my Teddy Bluger jersey. He is my favorite Penguin, and I'm hoping when he comes back in, that helps to rejuvenate their penalty kill and get things going in the right direction, because their penalty kill without Bluger has been hurting. But hey, you know, this is a team that I think people underestimate on the defensive side of things. I do think that Tristan Jarry's having a better season than some who don't follow the Penguins might realize. But we'll see, right? And that's really where we're at with Pittsburgh, because, again, they lost series that, and I picked them in every series they lost. These 4 series, I picked them each time. I don't know, again, if it's Pittsburgh and the Rangers, and I mean, when I do a playoff series preview, I have to put a jersey onto the team I think is going to win that series. I think I'd be leaning towards Pittsburgh, which the last 4 years would tell me that means the Rangers are going to win. So maybe I pick Rangers. But, yeah, it's a tough one. And it may very well be the series we get in the first round, and it could be a lot of fun if we do. There are some really good series between Pittsburgh and the Rangers from years gone by. Wouldn't mind seeing some new memories created now. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, especially regarding what you think Pittsburgh needs to do, and is this team, as it's built currently, capable of winning another Stanley Cup? Does Sidney Crosby have another Stanley Cup run in him? Or is this a team that's going to be facing, you know, getting older, and as soon as maybe next year, having to do some kind of a retool or a switch around and try to get younger? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing right through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.